Namaskaram. I am Padma Raghavan, Artistic Director, Silamba Mylapore, an institution for Bharatanatyam excellence. I am meeting you again in the third episode of Kavitva, where I am going to be talking in continuation about Sri Vedanta Deshika's Hamsa Sandesham. In the last episode, we saw that Rama had convinced Hamsa to go to Sita as a messenger.
Dear Rasikas, let me pause here to show you what I have received. A beautiful painting by Kumari Shivaranjani Vishwanathan of Mumbai, depicting almost the foremost or the beginning scenery of Hamsa Sandesham. Here is the Kamalasaras with the Raja Hamsa, lotus pond and the Hamsam as told in the text. This picture is waiting for Lord Rama to make his entry, spot the Rajahamsa and beseech it to go as messenger to Sita. Thank you so much, Shivaranjani, for taking the effort and sending this very beautiful painting to us. We truly appreciate this and look forward to more such works from you. Rasikas, the Kavitva team would love to receive paintings, drawings or dance depicting any of the sequence. We can also provide you with the resources in case you need. Now, to continue with this episode, here we go.
In this episode, we are going to see the journey of Hamsa. But before going into the actual part of it, I would like to tell you that I am presenting this, I am actually targeting the choreographers who are in search of new concepts. And this is such a male-oriented subject that I want all the male dancers also to listen so that they get the idea of performing. And second point is, years ago, I had given a lecture demonstration for Natya Rangam, the dance wing of Naradagan Sabha, on Hamsa Sandesham. And following that, I had also given the same lecture demonstration for G. Narayana Sharma Trust. Now, next thing I would like to tell you is, this is very interesting. I just thought about it, that dance started at the temples and then it was patronized by the kings, and then it came to the proscenium stage and we were all performing on this stage. Now, we have come to the next stage where it is all online presentation, but look at the advantage of this presentation, online presentation. We are shooting whatever we are performing and putting it in the social network. In such a case, when we are talking about the work like Hamsa Sandesham, it is so nice that we can actually do location shooting. I said that Rama is walking along this forest path near the pond that is filled with lotus and he is spotting Hamsa. Now, can't we do this in the location? We can go, if it was a stage, we couldn't have shown the background or the background setup, but now we can actually shoot it in a dense tree-lined path, and we can do this actual Rama walking along the path, and it will be so beautiful. So this is something that I thought about and I thought I will share with you. Now carrying on with the journey of Hamsa. Actually what Rama says is that the path that Hamsa has to take to go to Sri Lanka is southbound. As it travels southwards, there are so many things that Hamsam is going to come across. The nature is going to serve Hamsam in so many ways. The first thing that very beautifully and very humorously Vedanta Deshika says is that when the swan is away, these peacocks are having a gala time and they are just making all these sounds and happily dancing and all that. Now we have to understand that peacock's sound is not very melodious. It has a jarring sound, although it's a beautiful bird. So what Vedanta Deshika says is that since, O swan, you are away These peacocks are having gala time, but as soon as they realize that you have come, they will immediately shut their mouth, they will stop making sounds. So imagine this scenery as for the drawing or painting or even for dancing, where we can show these peacocks happily dancing, and suddenly the Hamsa is spotted by the peacocks and they keep quiet. You know, you can show the eyes, you can show the expression of the peacocks where they are so ashamed of their sound. Going next, what Vedanta Deshikar says is the wind is serving Hamsa. How? So beautifully he says, the wind is blowing, gentle breeze is blowing, and it will make you feel cool as you are walking along. But it is not just the wind. What Vedanta Deshikar says is, as the wind passes over the fields and the lotus, it carries the nectar of the lotus and it carries the fragrance of the lily flowers, the scent of the lily flowers, and takes in itself the moisture that is there in the atmosphere. So all these three together, the fragrance, the nectar and the moisture, it carries and it gently blows on the Hamsam, and the Hamsam feels very cool. And how are these winds blowing? What Vedanta Deshikar is saying is, aham ahamikam, aham ahamikam adishal gandhavaha. This gandhavaha, this wind or this gentle breeze is actually, you know, competing with each other and saying, I shall go, I shall blow, I shall blow, and it is making this Hamsam cool. Then next comes the trees. The trees, these are such beautiful similes given by Vedanta Deshikar. He says you can rest under the tree if you are going to be very tired. And over here he is talking about the hibiscus tree, and he says that as you keep walking along and under the hibiscus tree, what happens is the pollen of the hibiscus flowers will fall due to the wind and it gets sprinkled on your pure white body. And the simile he is giving over here is, after the victory of Shiva over Tripurasuran, he comes and lies down at the feet of Parvati, and Parvati's feet are strewn with this hibiscus flowers, and these hibiscus flowers touch the moon that is adorning Shiva's head. So he says the orange flowers on that white moon is as similar to your white body in which this orange pollens are sprinkled. What a beautiful simile, isn't it? What a beautiful picture this will make for people who are drawing and painting. Next we come to this clouds. You have to listen to this. The clouds are forming an umbrella for this Hamsam, and as it travels, it seems it is the end of the rainy season and just the beginning of the summer season. So what Vedanta Deshikar says is, these clouds are forming an umbrella and the golden rays of the sun form the wire that holds the umbrella together. The golden thin rays form the wires that bind the umbrella, and the fag end of these rainbows, the colorful rainbows, they all are formed as tassels at the edge of the clouds. So you have this beautiful cloud with these colorful tassels hanging from the edges, and you have these golden rays forming the wires, and this will protect you because the showers, the gentle showers that are falling on you, you will be protected by this beautiful umbrella, and you will enjoy all the services provided by this nature. Now the next thing Vedanta Deshikar says is, it seems all the poets have described the lotus to be the beloved of swan, because the swan, the Hamsam, most of the time spends at the pond or the water body that is filled with lotus. So they always compare the lotus, or they always say that the lotus is the beloved of the swan. Kadali, he says. Now what Rama instructs this Hamsa is something that all the men also have to understand. He says, you have come after a very, very long time, after hibernation, you have come now, you want to meet the lotus, and here I am asking you to carry my message, I am asking you to be my messenger, I am sending you away immediately. So I am sure you are going to be upset, I am sure the lotus is also going to be upset. So what you should do is go to your lotus, spend some happy moments with the lotus. Please do not break the news of you having to go away abruptly. First, be with the lotus, spend some time with the lotus happily, and then very gently, using very sweet words, reveal your intention or your leaving this place to go to Sita carrying my message, and please explain my condition to the lotus. And when you do this very gently using sweet words, the lotus will definitely agree. And how will the lotus give you the consent? How will the lotus permit you when you are asking permission to go away? Is that the bee that keeps humming around the lotus will carry the message that the lotus is giving to the bee, and the bee will come and tell you, the swan, that you are permitted to go to Sita. See, that is how you are supposed to get your permission from the lotus. Then he goes on to say that you have to start flying over the mountains. So when you fly over the mountains, your shadow will fall on the mountain because of the sun's rays. And how the shadow will look, it will look like as though the gems are sparkling, and that is how your shadow will look on the mountains. And when you are flying in the sky, mind you, please do give way to the Garuda that keeps flying there, and then you fly over the mountains. And then he says that this is another really danceable scene that is going to come up now. He says that as you fly over the mountain happily, you are making sound, singing and so on, these mountain people, the villagers who are there residing in the mountain, the hunter ladies, they will come out to wondering what sound is this. And when they come out, they actually see the moon, and they are quite surprised. How come there is a moon when the sun is out there? Then they realize that it is actually the Hamsam that is flying over, and they are coming out and looking at you curiously, and they are admiring your beauty. But you continue to fly and you will spot the place where Karnataka, that is Kannada region, and the Andhra region are meeting. The borders meet. And as you pass that, you will come to this Tirumala, the temple, Tirupati temple. Now, from here, I am going to continue in the next episode. What he says is that the Hamsa is flying over the Cheranadu, the Cholanadu, the Pandyanadu, and everywhere there is a god and there are the rivers, and he gives the significance of those gods and the rivers, and he's explained it so beautifully. I wanted to actually finish that journey, but the journey is a long one, so I'm definitely having to take about 2 episodes. So the journey continues. Until next time, this is Padma Raghavan signing off.